is Jamie Hunter, and I'm a student at the University of Portland. The Portland area has enough of what Seattle had to offer that I loved, so I chose to come to Portland.
Jamie's in love with nature. She loves skiing, climbing, just being outdoors.
There was an opportunity for Jamie to go on an outdoor adventure through the University of Portland, and I think we began to know about it in late August.
Jamie signed up for a Mount Adams trip.
It was through the Outdoor Pursuits program at the school, and there was the opportunity to go climb Mount Adams. And so I signed up for that. We had summited, and we were coming off the mountain on the most beautiful bluebird day.
It was 9 o'clock on a Sunday. I had gotten back from a bicycle ride, and it occurred to me as I walked back into the house that Jamie must be on the summit right about now.
Oh, the morning was beautiful. It was a spectacular day. A little bit after 9 o'clock in the morning, I was adjusting my crampon as Grant came up to greet me, and we heard a big commotion up the hill.
Someone was yelling "rock" up above us, and we looked up about 1,000 feet above us, and there was a large rock. The
rock was about this big. About as big as a dormitory refrigerator.
Just moments thereafter, we heard the rock go by.
It was spinning so fast that we could hear it whirring.
The rock was picking up momentum as it was coming down the mountain and missed several climbers.
The rock had gone right between us. We couldn't have been 50 or 60 feet apart at most.
Hit the snow once more and then collided with Jamie. When the rock hit her, it probably knocked her another 20 or 30 yards downhill.
I remember glissading down the mountain. I remember sliding and it being really fun but scary. And after that, I have no memory for 3 months.
It was a very serious situation, and we were incredibly worried about how to get her assessed, how to get her stable.
Very shortly after Jamie was injured and the cries went out, Kelly McGrath arrived on scene.
As soon as I got up to her, there were a couple of people already involved in attending to her. It was just 20 minutes after she had been struck by the rock, and we had already been able to get her moved into a stable position. They began the process, I understand now, of trying to find a helicopter that would actually be able to fly the mission up to 10,000 feet.
The helicopter, we understood, could not make it all the way up to the altitude where we were.
So we just sort of got people organized into a chain so that when the helicopter did arrive, we would have some ability to move things up and down the mountain.
By the time we got the medical equipment, it was clear that the situation was deteriorating for Jamie. The same climbers who had formed the human escalator to bring the equipment up were the escalator to bring Jamie down.
And then it all sort of crescendoed with her flying off.
There was a phone call that came in, and I could hear Wendy talking to somebody, and it was clear that something had happened on the hike. Jamie might have been hit by a rock.
A good friend across the hall, she ran in and told me that a girl had been hit by a rock, and my heart dropped.
And we got another phone call that said they were taking her to Emmanuel Hospital in Portland.
And then at the last minute you hear, oh my gosh, she's had a terrible accident. She came into the hospital, her heart expired, we've got her started, she's not expected to make it.
Dr. Hill was on trauma call that day, and so he's the one that first got the message that there was a problem on Mount Adams.
There's a level 1 trauma in the OR now. The assessment was from Dr. McGrath was that she had been hit by a boulder. Shortly after arrival, she rested.
We were taken almost immediately back to see Jamie, and it was something I'll never forget. I wasn't in any way, shape, or form prepared to see what I saw when I walked into that room.
She had so many injuries, you have to pick out the 2 or 3 that you can have a meaningful and greatest impact first and get through that, then before you start addressing some of the others.
Jamie came into the hospital on the 19th of September, and she was there until December 8th in ICU.
Basically, it was minute to minute, and then it was hour to hour, and then it was day to day.
Our hopes were constantly being thwarted by new events. I got a phone call from Dr. Long. He said, Jamie's had a tough night. She has gotten sepsis.
The doctors had told her parents that they were lucky if she would make it overnight.
And during that time, her kidneys failed, her liver failed, and we had to look for multiple sites where the sepsis could be coming from. Harborview had published a paper with Ron Mayers as senior author, so I called him.
The call came from Dr. Long basically during this phase of her care, where it appeared that she was not continuing to recover, that she was suffering from infectious complications, and that the worst case scenario was it might even lead to her death.
And I said, what do you do in these circumstances? And so he gave us the formulas, and it worked. That was a major contribution.
So it was really into January before finally Wendy said to me one day, John, Jamie is going to live.
Once the sepsis got under control, then the kidneys got better. Now it was time for reconstruction. And one of our orthopedic surgeons, Jim Krieg, who trained at Harborview, called Chip Rout, who's a known authority in complex pelvic injuries, and asked him what to do. This was the best time then to transport her up the road to Harborview for the next phase, which was going to be the reconstruction.
And he knew that she needed the kind of expertise that Harborview had.
I was asked to see her to remove the bone that was bridging from the pelvis to the thigh. And by moving her hip better, that would allow her to be able to be rehabilitated better.
Dr. Rout stepped in and was able to remove that and get her hip moving again. I spent a lot of time with Jamie and with her family while she was here.
And it was very comforting for Wendy and I to be able to talk to Dr. Vetter and have a very high level of confidence in what he was doing, and that we were going to have success in the end.
The ultimate goal was that she would be able to walk, and that's why we came to Harborview.
We sat down with her at that time and went over all of her injuries, looked at the major defects that we were dealing with, and came up with a plan between the various services, between general surgery, orthopedic surgery, and plastic surgery, what we were going to need to go through to put her body back together and put her life back together.
So we really embarked on a course to get her stronger, get her more independent, and able to walk and able to take care of herself in many ways.
Harborview is a tree of life, I think. We train people to take care of severe trauma as well as to reconstruct people, and they have gone out and populated the regions.
Working together, the teamwork, the sense of mission and purpose that I experienced when I was at Harborview, we saw that day on the mountain. There was a bit of Harborview in terms of how I approached Jamie Hunter that morning.
She's someone who came from another hospital where they saved her life to Harborview, where we've been working for the last year or so at rebuilding her life.
I'd always point to her and her parents as a team, just like the teams here work. They were a very, very good, motivated team and a good team to rehabilitate and work with.
Jamie is an amazing young person who overcame a phenomenal insult.
She got her world rocked, and I think she's rebounded better than just about anybody could have.
Jamie made a remarkable recovery, and a lot of that, of course, is the treatment she received along the way at the scene and her emergency treatment and at Harborview and her rehabilitation. But I think Jamie has never given up and always fighting to get back to where she was before.
She had gotten herself prepared for this hike, and so she was prepared. It's one of the first things we learn, and she was prepared, and her preparedness got her through the aftermath of a freak accident.
She is amazing.
Now it's over 1.5 years since my accident. I'm back in school, going to class, being a normal 20-year-old girl. I learned from this experience to not give up. I learned that I'm a driven person. I always wanted to get back to where things were, to go skiing again in Sun Valley. I had the spirit, I had the energy. I was not a lost Jamie Hunter. I was still there.